All right, let's go. Indianapolis 23, Tennessee Titans 16. Colts moved to 3-2. Titans moved to 2-3. Sam, the Titans are now 0-3 on the road. Now they play in London next week, and that's really going to throw things off. I might not even pick that game.
But are they the home or the road team?
They're home, but in London.
Yeah.
It's really throwing off.
Does that count? Have you run the numbers on that?
I have not run the numbers on that yet.
Okay.
London, it throws everything off when you're across the pond. But the
Time zone.
Lots of news here besides just the game itself. Colts moved to 3-2, as I mentioned. You also have Zach Moss at running back going 23 carries for $165. Jonathan Taylor, after Jonathan Taylor signs his contract, comes back, makes his debut, 6 carries for 18 yards, coming off of his injury. And Anthony Richardson also gets injured again. It sounds like it's an AC joint, and the quick estimate is he might miss around a month for Anthony Richardson. Gardner Minshew came in relief, and for the second time this year, a great relief outing by Gardner Minshew to help lead the Colts to victory.
Yeah. I mean, Jonathan Taylor comes back, and then Zach Moss just goes nuts and puts up a monster game running and receiving. So that's a nice problem to have, I guess, if you're the Colts. You don't just have – although it does kind of raise the question. There's a certain degree of comedy to the idea of, we finally give Jonathan Taylor the money that he wants and that we didn't want to pay him, and immediately you're confronted with the evidence of why that's usually not a good idea, because the backup that you put in there, basically because nobody else was available, goes for a monster day and puts up huge yardage and outperforms the dude that you just gave a ton of money to. Over a large period of time, that probably doesn't happen. It is, however, quite funny that it happens immediately upon giving him the money.
Zach Moss he's had a couple good games this year, though.
He's looked good.
Nice things, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we liked Zach Moss coming into the NFL. He's a good player, and now he's sort of in a decent situation. There's no reason he can't be a good complementary piece of that offense, and a good 1-2 punch with Jonathan Taylor.
Moss is funny because the same week he's similar to David Montgomery, a guy that will force a lot of missed tackles, but maybe not have the big play ability.
Not this week.
But it's ironic, both Moss and Montgomery said, no, we're big play threats this week.
I have breakaway speed.
Moss had a 56-yard touchdown in there, which was it was well blocked, but he took it to the house.
Yeah. Richardson kind of crushed on a tackle from behind as he's running to hurt his shoulder.
That's going to help the narrative of running quarterbacks getting injured, whether it's true or not.
Yeah, and it probably is true, But
if you take more hits, yeah.
Yeah, and his style in particular, because he's in that Cam Newton, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen side of this, which is they're not beating you because they run a 4-3 and, have moves on moves. They're beating you because they're huge and they can run over people, and they're threats as ball carriers because they're big, fast, and strong. If Richardson is going to be fragile, and look, we're dealing with one AC sprain and a concussion, right? Theoretically, those are 2 freak injuries. So maybe these are just the 2 injuries he's going to get right now, and from this point on, he's fine. But you have a problem if he's potentially fragile. Now you have to consider, crap, do we actually run him like this? And I saw Ted Wynn tweeted this yesterday. Stephen Holder from the Colts beat was sort of backing this up. Richardson has looked so good as a passer that they're already talking within the building of, do we effectively dump this idea of the Jalen Hurts offense, this run system that props him up for a while so that he can learn on the job? Do we just give him the conventional NFL offense that doesn't really require the quarterback running and all that kind of thing? That's how good he's looked from a pocket passing standpoint. And, it's an interesting discussion to have, but I do feel that even if he's capable of that, I think there's value in the Eagles haven't abandoned the designed run game with Jalen Hurts, even though Jalen Hurts is now capable of putting a sort of MVP-level season together, right? The Bills are still relying on Josh Allen to do what he does on the ground, even though Josh Allen is capable of playing at an MVP level. There's value to that element. Okay, maybe you want to dial it back a little bit because you don't need it to prop him up anymore. But that becomes an interesting dynamic of, can we abandon the run threat of Anthony Richardson, is that, like, do we lose what makes Richardson special if we do that?
I wonder if there's a balance too. And look, we're not going to see Richardson, as I said, likely for a month. For the 2 runs that he had, or the run where he got hurt, is a design run where he goes outside and he gets tackled, right? You said from behind. It wasn't crazy. His first run was a draw. He slides, right? Mm-hmm. He goes. That was a smart play. The other one is kind of a freak thing, but you don't know when. If you do run the ball 10 to 15 times, you don't know when the freak thing's going to happen, right? Like, you also don't know if the freak thing's going to happen in the pocket, right? We see guys get, they break their hand on a helmet, they get the low blow on the knee, or so you get hurt in the pocket as well. So I don't think it's as simple as he got hurt, stop running. But now we're 5 weeks in, he got concussed on a run, a touchdown, and he's got the AC joint on a run where there's a zone keeper and he takes it to the outside. That's going to be a challenge. Mm-hmm. All that said, he looks good from the pocket, right? I mean, you're seeing him little shoulder fakes with his eyes and moving defenders and hitting checkdowns. Again, I want to talk up like the QB process of Anthony Richardson so far. For a guy who's inexperienced, is very impressive. That's in addition to just having all of the physical tools. He had a big time throw in there yesterday early on. He had a bad play on a sack, tried to throw it away on a sack. I mean, those are the plays when he got sacked by Roger McCreary. Those are the plays that might lead to injury that I would be worried about. When you're throwing in the grasp and you're trying to like save a play instead of just taking the negative play, those are the ones I think are riskier. And that's the one, ironically, that didn't hurt him, right? He tries to throw it while he's going down, ends up throwing it backwards out of bounds, so it's technically a fumble. Those plays are riskier, I think, than just like a zone keeper where you get tackled.
And he was accurate in this game as well. Like, that's been his quarterback process thing has actually always been pretty high level. Even in his college tape, you could see him doing fairly sophisticated quarterback stuff in terms of manipulating the pocket, using his eyes, like all that kind of stuff was actually pretty good. Even though he had zero experience whatsoever, he wanted to be a high-level pocket passer. The accuracy was an issue, and the accuracy has been an issue this season, even though every now and again he'll uncork an absolutely perfect, pinpoint, accurate pass. But overall, it's been rough. This game it wasn't. Like, this game he was accurate, and then he gets hurt, and we don't get to see the end of it, which is unfortunate. But, like, if Anthony Richardson is able to elevate his accuracy overall in a large weight of numbers so that over a full season he's even middle of the pack in terms of accurate quarterbacks, he can be a really high-level pocket passer, completely independent of whatever you're going to get out of him as an athletic rusher, a scrambler, or a part of the designed run game. And so it's unfortunate that we miss out on like a month of seeing that development.
So the 2 times Gardner Minshew has come in to relieve Anthony Richardson, he's been the 2 games 30 for 37 passing for 326 yards and a touchdown. Yesterday was similar. Minshew comes in, goes 11 for 14 for $155. Nice game by Josh Downs, the rookie, one of those rookie undersized receivers. Josh Downs trying to make a statement that he is up there with Zay Flowers and Tank Dell as we had in our rankings, but he has a career-high 97 yards. Mentioned Zach Moss with the huge day. And so all that said, at the end of the game, Tennessee has a chance to make the comeback. Ryan Tannehill gets hit while throwing and throws it up. Julian Blackmon gets the game-clinching interception to secure the win for the Colts, who are tied atop the AFC South now with the Jags at 3-2.
Titans turning Derrick Henry into a passing weapon. We had the sort of Tim Tebow-like passing play, was it last week? And then this week was more of a traditional sort of halfback option pass where he just out into the flat, on a wide play, and then throws it just too long for Nuke to get both feet down. Like 6 inches overthrown to stop him having 2 touchdowns in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever that was.
Using Tajay Spears in a unique way as well. 19-yard touchdown, getting him out in space.
So the end around.
Yeah, the end around. But that's how Tennessee scored, right? I mean, if they had pulled this game off, I would have flipped the narrative to like, well, Tennessee, this is why you got DeAndre Hopkins, right? But like this, Tennessee doesn't do anything if they don't have DeAndre Hopkins in this game. He has 8 catches for $140. Go ahead.
From 11 targets.
Yeah.
140 yards, which is what, 3.9 yards per route run. And that doesn't count the 6 inches overthrown pass from Derrick Henry.
Henry just missed him, and Tannehill, I think, just missed him in the end zone on one as well.
Production could have been just absolutely off the charts.
So, again, it didn't show up on the scoreboard. They only scored 16 points. They lose, but the value of having a DeAndre Hopkins, I think this team scores 3 points if they don't have Hopkins as the main target here. So I want to see what that looks like going forward because Nuke is still really good.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you want to force, like he still has these high target games where he is the impact player. You need complementary players. You got to put it all together. But
great play by Juju Brents, the rookie, on Nick Westbrook-Akina down the field. That was late in the game. It was a big, not a swing play, but a big play for the Colts to avoid Tennessee getting a win.
Tennessee's offensive line held up a little bit better than expected, but again, the very last play of the game, Tannehill gets hit, that leads to the interception. It was desperation time at that point anyway. But
yeah, Nicholas Petit-Frere not back in the lineup yet. Chris Hubbard still out there at right tackle. Held up well.
All right, man. Anything else on this? Like I said, Colts 3-2, sitting atop the AFC South with the Jags. Jags have the tiebreaker so far.